The morning in the forest. Ethan Callahan always sought refuge in the wilderness. He enjoyed the silence of the forest, where there was no place for the city noise, and each morning brought him a new perspective of the world. Today, his route took him to a mountain range that promised breathtaking views and rare animals, which Ethan dreamed of capturing on his camera. He took a deep breath of fresh air, sensing the aroma of pine trees and damp earth, and began his journey. The narrow trail. Every scene was peaceful until he ventured deeper into the forest. His steps sounded steady, and around him, absolute silence reigned, interrupted only by the crunching of dry branches under his boots. He stopped to take some photos of the tall trees and the play of light on the rocks. But as he advanced, the forest became wilder, and the trail narrower. Ethan felt he was getting closer to something important. An unexpected discovery. Suddenly, his ears picked up a weak, but persistent cry. Ethan froze and listened. He looked up and saw a small cub on a narrow rocky ledge. It was trying to get out, but its paw was stuck between the stones. The cub emitted pitiful cries, its eyes full of fear, and Ethan immediately knew that he had to help. Safety first. Ethan assessed the situation. Below him, there was a cliff, and further down, a raging river. The place was extremely dangerous to descend. He knew he couldn't just leave the cub there, but he also had to think about the safest way to act. He had his backpack with a rope and photography equipment, which was the only thing he could use to descend safely. The dangerous descent. Ethan hesitated for a moment, but the cub's cries continued to break the silence. He decided to act. Cautiously, he began to descend the rocky steps, using the rope and every ledge to keep his balance. His heart was racing, but he knew he couldn't turn back. The rescue. Finally, Ethan reached the ledge where the cub was. The little animal, its eyes filled with fear, didn't they understand what was happening. Ethan approached carefully, speaking in a low voice to calm it. He gently freed the trapped paw, afraid of causing more harm. The cub was trembling, but seemed a little safer. The hard decision. Ethan carefully lifted the cub in his arms, wrapping it in his t-shirt to avoid injuring it further. The animal was weak, but hadn't lost hope. However, Ethan knew he had to find the mother. He couldn't leave the little one without her protection, but he also knew that this meant facing the risk of encountering the mother, a large and potentially dangerous animal. The mother appears. As Ethan walked along the riverbank, he heard another cry, this time stronger and more determined. He looked around and saw the huge bear approaching, its eyes fixed on him. Ethan, fearful but calm, slowly stepped aside. He knew he had to return the cub to its mother, and she seemed relieved to see her child in the man's arms. An act of kindness. The mother bear approached cautiously, but when Ethan handed the cub over to her, the tension disappeared. The bear looked at Ethan for a long moment, as if understanding that he meant no harm. With one last glance, she walked away with her cub, disappearing into the forest. Ethan, feeling a sense of relief and gratitude, watched the bear family disappear. He knew that his journey had been much more than a simple photographic adventure. It had been a reminder of the beauty of nature and what it means to protect those who cannot defend themselves.